5:59.
Because it's not in the ordinance. It's not on our
Connection.
website.
My pet peeve,
It's never been done.
I'd rather commercial than television.
For the permit.
My pet peeve, I mean, they spend so much money on that, where will we be?
Okay, it's
If
6
they-
o'clock.
Because people are gonna still get
So I
charged.
figured, but it's not my idea.
Okay, it's 6 o'clock, and I'm going to call tonight's Monday, May 1st, council meeting to order. I'm going to start off with a moment of meditation and silence. Okay, and I'm going to start off with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'm going to ask Chief Wallace to start us off tonight.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call.
Mr. Kelfi?
Here.
Ms. West?
Here.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Here.
Mr. Karas?
Here.
Ms. Wood?
Here.
Mr. Harper?
Here.
And I'm going to make a motion to accept the absence of our council president tonight, Andrew Kluge.
Second.
All in, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Approval of minutes of regular city council meeting of April 3rd, 2023.
You can do all.
And also, I'm going to go ahead and read the special city council meeting of April 17th and special city council meeting of April 24th. Are we okay to approve those and move on?
Move to approve all three sets of minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Okay, communications. I have a settlement check from a class action lawsuit against Monsanto Company.
$17,000,
Yeah, is it $17,000?
something like that.
Who is that, Brian?
Yeah, actually, it came to Chelsea, I believe, but then we all kind of talked about it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't have it.
gone.
And we actually talked to Mr. Semino about it as well. It's actually a lot of emails bouncing around from a lot of finance directors all over Ohio because nobody was really informed that this was going to happen. And it has to do with like chemicals and some sprays and stuff like that. And it's legit. I mean, we looked it up. You know, because we were like, what is this money for? But it's legit. It's a class action lawsuit. I mean, many people in Ohio are getting it, so
Wow.
it's,
Did we purchase it through our street department or Parks and Rec department? Do we know? I mean, do we know where it's going to go, that money's going to go into? Would it be where it came from?
and that was an interesting conversation. I got about 20 different responses from other finance directors in the area, and there's probably about 15 different answers on that. So some people were talking stormwater fund, water fund, a lot of people would put in the parks funds. I think
Yeah.
that's where we decided tentatively to put it for now.
Yeah, I
the
think
parks
that's a good
fund.
choice.
Yeah, just because it had to do with the sprays that
Grass
they were
and
using
sprays and
stuff, right?
flowers and weeds.
So,
Nice.
And there's some that did, some other people in my group agreed with that, others put it in other places, so. I
Okay,
don't think, there's really no restrictions on the money, though. It's not restricted for anything. It's just whatever. Some people are just putting it in the general fund, too, so.
I like the idea of, because I know the Parks and Rec seem to struggle more so than the other departments, and it's a green, area, and they do use, I'm sure, the chemicals, so it seemed kind of fitting for that.
It
but-
does make some sense, yeah.
Yeah, but that's your choice, so
Yeah. Okay.
I would guess.
Well, we think it's appropriate there because we need to stop the use of Roundup as a spray. It's definitely proven to be a problem.
Yeah.
And the alternative is a little more expensive, so it would help cut down this additional money with that.
Yeah, that makes sense, too.
Okay. Any other questions on that? Okay, next I'm going to move on to communications, delegations from the public. I'm not sure, Lucy Ryblin, I do have listed from the Portage County Health Department. Is she still planning on attending?
I thought so.
I wonder if she thinks we start at 7.
I don't know.
I told her it's
You
Oh,
did
you
tell her?
already told me.
So we're going to hold off on that. I know there was another person that did come tonight to speak, so I am going to let that individual go first. If you'd like to come up and speak your name and your address, please, and then go ahead.
My name is Robert Fall. I live at 434 South Meridian here in Ravenna. I just wrote about a page.
Is your mic on? Does it sound?
Yeah,
Hello?
Yeah, I
Okay.
can see the link.
I put, "Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here to discuss an issue I believe we have in the city. On April 16th, while working on my driveway, I laid in a new driveway, I was walking back and forth from the BMV where I parked my vehicles so that I could improve my property for the good of the city. The sidewalk in front of the house next to mine is severely damaged. I am not making light of that. I'm just making a statement of fact. The fence around the yard to that area is approximately 3.5 feet tall, and it is 1 inch from the sidewalk. When I tripped, I'm a guy, it happens, I put my hand out, and as you can see, I had to go to the hospital. I was bitten by the dog that attempted to leap over the fence. I put my hand up to block my face because I was more concerned about that. My concern is that the property in question, which is 438 South Meridian, has approximately 6 large pit bulls. And when I say large, I'm not being facetious. We're talking about a small Shetland pony. I'm a large man. I was concerned about my own safety. There are several puppies there also. Their front yard, there is no backyard. The front yard is, I would say, approximately from the wall to the stand here. I don't believe it to be a large enough area for that amount of animals. In addition to that, the dogs have escaped. They have burrowed under the fence, which is, like I said, 3.5 feet tall, so just to give you a reference. People going to the DMV, also, because I do know some of the people that work in the city-county building will come down and go to the parking lot that is down there. There's like a little entrance, you can't drive out, but DMV people and the people from there have had to go across the street. I watched the dogs chase an older gentleman down the street, and
Have you called the police?
I don't believe the dogs are at fault, and I don't believe the
No, I
breed
know
of the
that.
dog. I understand. But at the same time, I moved here 3 years ago, and I'm trying to work within the community. And like I said, when I got bit, her first response was, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, I don't think the dog intends, I think it tried to nip me. The problem is it wouldn't stop bleeding. So I did go down, and I mean, I have the paperwork if anybody would like to see it. I went down to UH, and they were like, "It's a puncture wound, you have to let it bleed out until it stops bleeding." So, I mean, I got a tetanus shot. As I wrote in here, I am not upset about the dogs themselves. I do not believe the breed is out of control. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we can't have 700 people inside this little area here. We definitely can't have 9 dogs. I'm guessing 4 or 5 puppies. And I think it's the inability to have a proper running space, a proper living space. My house that I bought is 3,500 square feet, and I have a backyard and I have a front yard. And I would feel weird having 2 dogs, let alone, you know what I mean, a larger breed that is potentially, older people are walking back and forth. And like I said, I'm not trying to be racist or ageist or anything like that. I'm just saying that I don't go on my front porch anymore. It is becoming an issue. I do now as a homeowner, this is my first home, I do understand we can't put 10-foot high fence there. I understand the safety concerns, and I understand, and I'm not saying we should. I'm saying that as a new person who's now here, I bring it to you to say, hopefully someone here can come up with a better idea, because like I said, the other one, and I'm sure the police chief will be able to back me up on this. Give me 1 second, I will. 442, we'd have SWAT called out. The gentleman got arrested, there was a SWAT there. He has 3 pit bulls, and he has a caged area. And I hate to use it as a reference, but it's a very Thunderdome kind of thing. I don't know a better way to describe it, you know. And like I said, my concern isn't with the breed. I want to make sure that that is.
I understand. No, I completely understand. It sounds cruel
Nine
that,
dogs and 4 puppies is not, I have 3,500 square feet and I would feel uncomfortable with 2 dogs. I don't know where you're working it into or how you're
well,
getting exercise, or in addition to, like I said, the DMV, and we know how busy our DMV is because obviously my backyard is next to the parking lot, so I see it, so.
so can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So have you talked to, first of all, I am sorry that this is going on. I totally empathize with you, and, you know, a lot of us on council, I know Mr. Seaman's daughter's a veterinarian. I mean, we're all, a lot of us, you know, huge animal lovers. So the thought of, you know, animals, you know, what's going on even with the animals. And again, there's a lot of senior citizens that live in that area, and children,
My
and,
neighbor
I mean,
on the other
it's
side
terrifying.
has
So
a
from
brand
what
new
you're
baby,
just.
and she's
So-
concerned, and I said, I'm coming here.
What my 2 questions are, have you, like, approached anybody in the city about this? Or is this your first time about this problem? And I know that you haven't called the police, but I would think more the police, not so much on the dog, but the people, if they're not
So-
controlling their animal, or the dog warden.
So the way that it's been explained to me is.
And by who?
Is that from being in the neighborhood since I've been there.
Okay,
The gentleman owns the DMV. He owns both of the houses in question. He owns another house.
so it's a rental property we're talking about.
That is the impression that I was given. Now, my brother said to me, I believe that it might have been sold, there was something across Zillow, he might have sold that individual property. I'm not sure, but the gentleman who does own, like I said, the DMV, those 3 properties, another one going down, I'm new and I don't know a lot, and I'm not trying to cause,
No, it's okay.
you know what I mean, any undue problems. Same thing why I didn't call the police is because my first thought was, they'll probably put the dog down. And I don't think it was the dog's fault, but 9 dogs, that's a pack mentality.
We have an ordinance at one point, Bob, did we not, way back, I can remember on council, that there's only we had issues brought before us when people were having multiple animals?
Well, and that's kind of what I was bringing with, I didn't know if there's any city ordinance that limits the number of animals per square foot, per square, you know, property versus house versus, because I know I can't show up with
Sir,
5
sir,
horses.
I think the dog warden might be able to help you out on this, all right? I think they put a limit on the number of animals, dogs, that they can have in a residence.
But I think we have an ordinance too, don't we, that,
We do not.
I think
We
the
do.
dog warden- the
We
dog
do
warden-
not have an ordinance. I proposed it a few years ago to put a limit on how many dogs could be in a house, and city council did not
That's-
move it forward.
we did not.
I checked that before I
Okay.
came, so
Right.
you are correct. That's-
Robert's called
But
my
I'm just saying
department
that I think the dog
twice
warden
here.
maybe
Okay.
will give you some assistance, all
There
right?
is some regulation by the state, and I believe anything more than 5 is considered a kennel. And there, you're supposed to have a license, I believe.
And I was gonna say, that was my next concern, because if it is a kennel, then I would like to know, are we allowed to have kennels in the city? If so, then I would like to be brought up that I don't want a kennel next to me. There's the DMV, there's kids, there's other stuff, and I think we've moved past the dog warden, which is why I didn't call, which is the same reason why I didn't call the police, because, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, the police have real crimes. This was a dog, there's just a lot of them, and I think the city needs to say, hey, we're the city and this is what we decided,
Well,
especially
there's an
since-
ordinance that, you know, you could talk about developing an ordinance, we don't have it. To the extent that the dog warden can come in and give you some assistance with
Okay.
the number of dogs that are on the property, I think he'll be able to do that.
Okay.
But I think that's the way that you ought to try to direct your attention right now.
Instead of trying to make it that the city says you can't have 9 dogs.
No, you have a right, right to request that council
Okay.
consider that,
I
right?
understand, I'm just asking.
And that, but I think an immediate response for you would be through the dog warden, all right?
Okay.
And I think we need to talk about it more after, you know, on an ongoing basis. You know, now that we're aware of the problem, I also think that we need to investigate to see if these homes that are causing the problem, if they are a rental property, and, you know, get some of the facts in order so that there might be other ways that we can go, you know, after possibly.
Well, and the mail is the same principle. Right? So I hear what you're saying, but the mail is everyone on the street, and that I have seen so far, because the mail lady told me that I can move my mailbox up to the front of where the sidewalk is. No one does, it's all on the porch. So now you're putting the postal service, which sometimes has some issues with locational, putting things where they need to go. Now you're dealing with that in addition to, like I said, I think this is a little more than the dog warrant, because that's the DMV. This is the whole thing, and that's, like I said, I'm not
I understand.
trying to argue. I just want to bring it that I think it's a little more, we need to next level this into something, I don't know what, which is why I brought it to your attention, because I don't have an idea. I have nothing. I just wanted, as someone who lives here, to let
We
you know.
appreciate you coming, and please stay after so we can get your information and that we're able to, look at some other information. So you have talked to the building department on this previously?
I called and talked to Ms. Holloway, and then she talked to the engineer, because I was going to come during the zoning, because I thought it was a zoning issue. And she said it would be better to come now, today, to bring it up, because it
Yeah.
is something that I'm not the only one. If I need to, for the next meeting, I could bring another 10 people that live on the same 5 blocks.
I understand. Anybody else have any questions?
The only thing I would reiterate is I believe that the mayor mentioned that issue of the dogs, the number of dogs. I think the dog warden will enforce that aspect of it. It may be 5, no more than 5. But I'm familiar with the fact that he does take action, or they do take action in that regard.
Well, I hear you, but my concern is this.
No, just let me say one thing. To the extent that you want to do something legislatively, that's something that has to be developed, all right?
And I understand.
There are different committees that may address that, and you can bring whomever you want to that committee and express your concerns. And I think that might help to motivate something to be done.
And that's just
that's
what I
where you
wanted to
wanna
bring
go.
it to you, to let you know that I would like, even if you decide no, and I'm not saying you need to decide this minute,
No.
maybe somebody has a better idea, and that's why I wanted just to get the ball rolling.
Right.
And I appreciate that. Rob, do you want to maybe put this in planning? Do you think would be a planning meeting?
Could,
I mean, what are your thoughts?
I think we definitely need to at least look into it.
I mean, to entertain it, to go
all right,
into
well,
this
we
month?
meet again in 2 weeks. We
Yeah.
can put it on the planning committee and we
And
can
then
talk
in between
about-
time, see if there's anything more that, information that we can,
I guess
come
we
up
need to
with.
decide is what do we want to do?
What we can do, or,
Want to limit the number of dogs?
and see, I do remember now that Bob said that, I was on council when that came through, and we do have a lot of responsible people that have animals. And, that was the thing when we had people that came in here, they could have had 3 or 4 dogs, and their dogs were well taken care of, and, so it wasn't fair at the time to put a limit on animals, because then you're penalizing people who are good animals.
But 9 aggressively
Yeah,
large
I understand
dogs,
that.
I don't think anyone here.
No.
Not being rude, I don't think anyone could take them. And then it's now a pack mentality. And the pack mentality is really concerning me, because it's literally from the office, you can see it, so.
And I understand.
Like I said, and I'm not sure what, I thought maybe per square footage, or I'm sure there's some veterinarian that could give us well, yeah, they need so much space to be healthy, or, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I'll research whatever you'd like me to do, but I just wanted to get the ball started, that someone should know.
And again, like I said, we definitely, we would have not known if you wouldn't have brought it to us, and it is an issue for the neighborhood, and whatever we can do, we'll do our best.
I
So,
appreciate it. Thank
all right, thank you so much. Now,
Before we move on,
Yes.
Bob, do you still have whatever ordinance you proposed?
I'm sure I do.
yeah, we got a big crowd in for that.
Forward it to me
I mean, this could be going back 2013, 14.
It was early on.
years ago.
I mean, if you guys don't remember it, then it had to be
I-
before you.
I remember it. Like I said, I remember why it didn't pass, because
So
we
there was-
had a lot of people come in and that were responsible pet owners that were upset.
We had people sheltering, fostering animals, and their houses were in decay. A couple of them had houses in decay. Others were running basically a home business with many dogs, and so anyway, yeah.
There was
the
other
room-
ways we went after that, I
The
thought,
room
too.
was packed, and council decided not to move it forward.
Because there was other ways that we felt that should have been handled.
It wasn't long that the one lady moved out of town, sold her house.
Yeah,
So those issues did seem to diminish.
so it was a health issue at the time, I believe. Okay, all right, now I'm going to move the floor to Miss Lucy Reiblin, our representative from the Portage County Combined Health Board.
I am so sorry, I apologize. I didn't know you started at 6, I have 6:30, so if I miss my spot.
It's okay. We had a person that was here for delegation, so he went first.
Thank you for moving me into this spot. I don't usually late. But anyway, thank you for having me. As you know, I am your representative. Is this working okay? Should I pull it down more? Okay.
Pull it down a little more.
Okay. I hate
There.
microphones. Okay. I am your representative, and everyone here's representative on the Portage County Combined General Health District. Very quickly, I want you to know, most of you do know this, that originally we had a health department in Ravenna. It was about, I don't have the exact dates, but 8 years, 9 years, 10 years ago. At that time, our health department was very small. We were contracting services and we couldn't offer much to the people. After complete study through Kent State University School of Public Health, it was determined that it would be most beneficial for the city of Ravenna to join the Portage County Health District, which became the Portage County Combined General Health District. That includes all of the townships and villages and the city of Aurora and the city of Streetsboro. The 3 cities, including Ravenna, are the only ones that have actual representatives appointed from their area. So that's who I am and why I am. I used to come and speak to you. I haven't been here since COVID. I apologize. I know that you get reports. If you're like everyone else, I understand if you don't look at them, but quarterly reports are sent to you of what the district is doing and what it's offering. But I feel like it's important as your representative to come in, if I can, once a year, bring you up to date, let you know what is being offered to the people of Ravenna.
Lucy, nobody here is getting quarterly reports.
Where do the reports get sent to?
They'll get sent to your email, because I've seen your names on the emails.
No?
No? Okay, I'll double check that. Thank you for bringing that to my attention.
No, I don't
Thank you.
recall
I
that
do
either.
have, since you said that, I do actually have our quarterly report for all of you. And the front of it will be, the biggest news we have is that we moved to our new home, which is 999 East Main Street. It's the old bank next to Mark's. It's a beautiful building. Please stop in sometime. Anyone there would be happy to give you a tour. Bank's been empty for a long time. There was minimal remodeling that needed to be done. So for the first time ever, the health district actually owns this property. Well, 20 years they own it, but it's their own property and they're not renting. They have been renting down at the Rock, paying a goodly sum to rent down on Cleveland Road. I don't mean to put anybody down, but it wasn't the nicest building. And this building shows what we are committed to. It's a beautiful, clean, spacious office building, and it's open to the public. We have also, because we moved, included WIC, which is Well and Infant Children. Used to be separate from us down at the old hospital. They're a part of the district, and they obviously should be there for health. I mean, it just is a natural. So they have a beautiful section where the WIC people administer to young mothers, teach them healthy habits, they teach them about eating and breastfeeding and how to take care of children. So it's a wonderful service that's under our umbrella. So I'm going to pass or leave these. You guys can take them. I hope you will. There's little pictures, so it's not so boring. There are actually 3 departments in the health department. We have the environmental, which is responsible for keeping you from getting sick when you go to McDonald's. They do things like check our restaurants, they check our schools. Not many of you probably have sewers in the city. They keep sewers and all that stuff in order so that we don't have overflow of bad stuff coming out of the water. We also have a health education department. which does a tremendous job, and it's one of the things that your residents will probably be interested in. I've talked to you before about. They offer bike safety. They're part of Safe Communities. They just did None for Under 21, which is a super program. This year, our kids in Ravenna did not go investigating what happened. It was kind of a miscommunication, but it's a wonderful program. It teaches kids before prom about safe driving, avoiding drunk driving and all that. The health education obviously does other things, but they're there for anyone who has questions about health problems. Our nursing department also does, as you might guess, all the immunizations. They do wellness clinics. They go to Wyndham. They go all over the county. They do immunizations. They've come here, I believe, and done the police department, like when we needed COVID shots or flu shots. And this is all part of what I started to say. I think the citizens of Ravenna spend, on an average $100,000 home, they spend $12 a year for these services. Come on, that's such a bargain. They've been fortunate enough to just pass a levy last year. It's a 5-year continuing levy that supports their programs. A lot of the money that's spent through that department is grants. And thank goodness for grants, as you all know how important those are. They have grant writing people. I mean, they spend most of their spending out of a $3 million budget. I'd say $2 million is through grants. So they do their homework, they get things done at a real bargain for the citizens. Does anyone have any questions while I'm kind of rambling on here?
Is there anything recently, Lucy, that's new, that's changed within the past, couple years, or
Well,
anything different that you've noticed since COVID?
The
or
big thing I should say is COVID. For those of you who didn't know, they offered free immunizations. They were at Neomed, they were at Kent State, they came here, they were everywhere. The staff for 2 years worked themselves literally
They did.
to the bone. I can't tell you how proud I am of the work they did. None of them complained. They worked overtime. They were there to answer questions, be available to anyone who needed anything during COVID, and it was trying for them. Obviously, they were unprotected at times, and they were nervous about that, as we all were. They stood strong, and they really gave us a great performance for the work they did for all of us through that. As I told you, WIC is new. It's probably been, I want to say 1 or 2 years that they've been under our umbrella. Same with Safe Communities, which used to be part of the Ravenna City. Lynette Blazeman was our gal who ran that. They joined the health district, and so they're partnering in not just none under 21, but they do motorcycle training. The health department also offers safety training for bikers. Please consider having the rec department coordinate with them. They pass out helmets, they teach it's all free. They do bike safety. I've actually forgotten. There's a whole list of other stuff that I find very important, and I'll send these to you when I leave. Let's see, real quick. They do licensing of all the restaurants, which is something that I'm not sure exactly what the city reference to that is, but they license them based on their cleanliness and the things that they have to approve. Car seat protection.
Not just restaurants, they also do churches.
Churches, thank you, schools.
Yeah.
They're at all our schools checking the cafeterias, the bathrooms. If there's ever an outbreak, they're the ones that you call. Even if it's just a novovirus where the kids are all having stomach issues, they're there, and they're the ones who help clean up the schools, get the kids oriented to where they have to be before they're safe to return. They do stuff at the fair. They're always down there doing safety for the fair as far as the food and the tents that are open. I guess that's plenty for you to digest, but if you have any questions, they do. One of the biggest things I guess we do is Project Dawn, which I'm sure you guys are all familiar with, or maybe you're not, but it's the overdose protection. They're at, they have kits distributed to the police department. They distribute them in places like the group homes. As you know, there's a huge epidemic of overdose, especially the fentanyl. And the kit provides the naloxone. It will help people from dying in their overdose moments. Those kits are provided through the health department. The education's done through them. I'm not sure who else they go to, like Miller House in Kent, and leave those and help instruct the people. Lots of places where there's a chance, the Haven, places where there are chances of overdose, so that we can protect those people from dying accidentally.
Lucy,
Yes.
I just wanted to say I've been out to tour the new facility, and it is an amazing use of space compared to how it was set up before. They utilized every nook and cranny of that
They
building.
did.
And it's super nice, but I think the positive for me was WIC. Going to WIC before, it was in this dark, dingy back of an
Yes.
old hospital,
It
and now
was.
it's this bright, open space where it just seems so much more therapeutic for moms and kids to go to. So it really was a nice experience. If anybody gets a chance to get out there, you don't realize all that the health department does until you really walk around and see how much there is
Right.
to it, so
And
it was
as, I
nice.
thank you for that, Christina, and as you know, the pandemic showed us, you don't really know what they do and that you need them until you need them.
it.
And then it's sometimes too late. Years ago, they were very active with H1N1 and provided great support to the city and to the community for that, for the vaccinations. Obviously, COVID was much more than H1N1, but like I said, until you need them, you don't even know or care that they're there. But it's not just the emergency stuff, it's the really good stuff that our people can get education, help with anything they need for their health and their children and their families. Just as a personal too, this new building, Bruce is still a councilman at heart. And he, the health department looked at some other locations, and he said, when I came home, I said, we're doing this, and he said, yes, you're keeping tax dollars in Ravenna.
Yeah, I
I'm
had
so
heard
glad
rumor.
to hear that.
I heard rumor it was going to possibly be in another community, and I was like horrified because that's
Right.
a tax base, and it
Yes.
needed to stay here. So
Yes, he was
I'm
very
thankful.
happy about that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's a gem for us. As you know, this building is gorgeous.
it is.
It's also gorgeous on the inside. So it's doing great things for Ravenna, and it's helping Ravenna residents, and I hope they can learn more. And I hope you can tell your constituents, if you have a problem, call the health department. That, they're there, they're willing to help. So
Absolute-
that's my spiel. Thank you,
And you're
guys.
going to pass out all of those
I can,
stuff
yeah.
to us, that would be great.
If you
And
could.
again, Lucy, thank you for your expertise. We're lucky to have you with your background. For most of you that don't know, Lucy is a retired pharmacist of this community, and she brings a great wealth of knowledge to our health board and takes her job very seriously. So
Thank you, Amy. Appreciate
absolutely, thank you.
that. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other delegations from the public before we start? Okay. All right. Report of officials. Any reports?
They're in the packet.
Oh. Can I get a motion to approve the reports officials?
So move.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, report of committees. I have utilities, Mr. Mosco.
Okay, there will be nothing in 2 weeks.
Okay, yes, our committee meetings are going to start at 6 o'clock on 5/15. So if anyone wants to mark that on your calendar, that's when our next, 5/15.
May
May
15th.
May 15th.
It's okay.
5 p.m.
Ella.
Yeah.
Drink some coffee.
Okay, now you have me, okay, back on track.
We have a question here from
Yes.
Lou Duda.
Question?
Is it possible to have the fire and police reports, copies available when we come in?
I don't know, is that a,
Is that a no-no, or?
I wouldn't think it would be. I mean, are we allowed to have that, Jeff? I mean, you mean the number of calls that they go on per ward?
Whatever report they submit to the council.
It's public.
The minutes.
Okay,
It's fine.
that's fine, we can do that. Chelsea can make copies and we can have that included as well. Thank you, absolutely. Information systems, Christina.
Yes, I have a couple items that will be on the agenda for the 5:15 meeting.
Okay, 5:15, gotcha.
That early?
Planning, Mr. Karas.
Yeah, we have one item on the agenda tonight, and we will need a meeting in 2 weeks.
Okay. Committee of the Whole will be Monday, 5/22/23 at 6 PM. Public Health and Safety, there's going to be a couple items tonight, and I usually do have something, so we'll be up to date with that soon. Streets and Sidewalks, Matt Harper.
One item for consideration this evening, and not sure about a meeting yet,
Okay.
more than likely.
Personnel, Tim Kelfy.
Yes, we will have a committee meeting on the 15th.
Okay. Any items tonight?
No.
Okay. Community and Economic Development, Cheryl Wood.
Yes, we have one item, I believe, on tonight's agenda, and there will be a few items on committee.
Okay. Cemetery, Mr. Harper and Mr. Moscom. Do you have any updates with the cemetery that you'd like to share?
Well, one thing that's real good is financially, it is in the black. So it, not just marginal, but it is a fair amount. And we're just waiting for Dominic to get back with the price for some of the grinding and resurfacing on one of the roads that's in bad repair.
How do we look for Memorial Day as far as getting some of the areas cleaned up? As that looks like it's gonna,
They're still working on it, there's still a lot to do. Unfortunately, one of our part-timers did not make it back this year, so we're short one part-timer. But yeah, there's, everything's still in the works to try and get that prepared and ready.
any other updates, Mr. Harper, you'd like to provide?
About it.
Okay. Parks and Rec.
Do want to report back on one thing, if I could. Our Easter extravaganza was our biggest program ever for that. We had a total of about 450 kids and 1,200 people in total at the city park over there.
Great.
It was packed for blocks. The cars were everywhere, and it was very successful. And we do want to thank all of our many contributors, donations to that, our volunteers, street, fire, and police for their efforts to make it such a good event. It was an excellent event.
Good. Okay, seeing now we're ready to start our meeting tonight. Starting off with our first of ordinances, ordinance number 2023-61.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to accept a Bureau of Workers' Compensation BWC grant in the sum of $16,773.50 and declaring an emergency.
This was Public Health and Safety. I don't know if I can talk about that because I'm here, or,
Sure.
is that okay? I wasn't sure. Okay. Anyways, we had talked about
I've been
this.
silent all night, so.
We talked about this at committee. We just need to accept this. Any question? Motion to waive 3 separate readings, please.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Kelfy?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
I don't know if I can vote. Can
No.
I?
Yeah, I don't think you
I
can
can't vote, sorry.
Unless it's a tie.
No.
No, you don't vote.
Nope.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Motion to adopt the emergency clause, please.
So move.
Second.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Kelfy?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And motion to pass the ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Kelfy?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Okay. Next ordinance, ordinance number 2023-62.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to accept a Bureau of Workers' Compensation, BWC, grant in the sum of $1,429.70 and declaring an emergency.
And again, we had talked about this at length in committee. We discussed what this money was going for. This was, I believe, from fire department. I don't have my notes in front of me, I apologize. But there is no match for us. It's just to accept the money. Do I have a motion to waive 3 separate readings?
So moved.
Second?
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
A motion to adopt the emergency clause?
So moved.
Second?
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
A motion to pass the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Okay. Next ordinance, ordinance number 2023-63.
An ordinance accepting a donation to the Ravenna Police Department in the sum of $200 from Edward C. Seegers, recording estimated revenues in the sum of $200 and appropriating the sum of $200 in the police department and declaring an emergency.
And this was just a generous donation from one of our residents that wanted to give back to our police department. There is no match, and it's just to accept the $200. Do I have a motion to waive 3 separate readings?
So moved?
Second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Motion to adopt the emergency clause?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Motion to pass the ordinance?
So moved?
Second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Ordinance number 2023-64.
An ordinance accepting a donation to the Ravenna Police Department in the sum of $100 from Portage County Department of Probation, recording estimated revenues in the sum of $100 and appropriating the sum of $100 in the police department and declaring an emergency.
And this is also an accepting a donation. There is no match. Do I have a motion to waive 3 separate readings?
So moved?
Second.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Motion to adopt the emergency clause?
So moved.
Second?
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And a motion to pass the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Ordinance number 2023-65.
An ordinance amending the codified ordinances of the City of Ravenna, Part 6, General Offenses Code, Chapter 686, Nuisance Abatement, Section 686.3, Definitions, and declaring an emergency.
And Rob, do you want to explain this, please?
So the building department, the inspectors there wanted to add some items to our nuisance abatement ordinance, I believe 8 items, so that we had a little more flexibility in how we can enforce those ordinances, because what the nuisance abatement ordinance allows us to do is to actually attach to the property tax any kind of fines assessed for those violations. So we just plugged in those 8 new pointers to other areas in our code, and so now we have a total of 23 nuisance events that we can take advantage of this code to.
Okay. It almost sounds like a Meridian Street could be possibly in that character of a nuisance,
Well,
if all else, but we'll talk, we won't get into this now,
Well-
but as, I'm thinking it's kind of strumming my mind a little bit.
we would have to have a separate ordinance first. The nuisance abatement points to other areas in our code that already exist, so that would be a little tricky. I think we probably need to add an ordinance, and then if we wanted to put it in here, we could.
Okay. Motion to waive 3 separate readings on this?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Calfee?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Motion to adopt the emergency clause?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Calfee?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Motion to pass the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Calfee?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Okay, next item. Ordinance number 2023-66.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to advertise for bids according to law for the resurfacing of the police garage parking lot and for asphalt repairs in Maple Grove Cemetery and declaring an emergency.
Matt?
Pretty straightforward, allowing the bid for those 2 projects.
Do I have a motion to waive 3 separate readings?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Calfee?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Motion to adopt the emergency clause?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Calfee?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Motion to pass the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Calfee?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Okay, next item, ordinance number 2023-67.
An ordinance approving the editing and inclusion of certain ordinances as part of the various component sections of the codified ordinances, providing for the adoption of new matter in the updated and revised codified ordinances, providing for the publication of such new matter, repealing ordinances and resolutions in conflict therewith, and declaring an emergency.
Rob, is that you?
Yeah, this is just housekeeping. We do, I keep forgetting whether, we used to do it twice a year, now we do it once a year?
For paper, online's twice.
Oh, okay, right. So for those of you who have those big binders, you'll get some replacement pages. And the ordinances we've passed, modified, repealed, or whatever, they're listed in your packet. So, just
Okay.
housekeeping.
Motion to waive 3 separate readings, please?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Calfee?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Motion to adopt the emergency clause?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Calfee?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Motion to pass the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Calfee?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Okay. Next item, ordinance number 2023-68.
An ordinance accepting the recommendations and minutes of the City of Ravenna Tax Incentive Review Council for the 2022 Enterprise Zone Compliance Reports attached hereto as Exhibit A and declaring an emergency.
Yeah, we had talked about this one in committee. These are just for the enterprise zone ones. We are getting separate approvals as we discussed for the CRA ones. I believe we got the superintendent to approve it today on the email today, so we'll get those reflected in another set of minutes.
Okay.
She has agreed to the CRAs now.
And for next year's purposes, can we please try to
Yeah,
do a
we've-
single report?
Dennis and I have already talked about that with Diane Furley over at the county to make sure, between the 3 of us, we can make sure we get it in there. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, motion to waive 3 separate readings?
So move?
Second.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Calfee?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Motion to adopt the emergency clause?
So move?
Second.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Calfee?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Motion to pass the ordinance?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Calfee?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Karas.
Yes.
Okay. Next item, ordinance number 2023-69.
An ordinance authorizing the creation of the One Ohio Opioid Settlement Fund, number 240, and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Semino?
This is just an ordinance that we received from the state regarding our obligations to create a line item, I would imagine, to accept these funds and be able to distribute them.
Yeah, it's required tracking by the state auditor's office. They specifically want a new fund for it, so.
A separate line in, for this to keep for funding.
Fund even, so we can track the balance in there, how we receive the money and how we spend it.
And how we spend it.
Because if we receive it over such a long period of time, you lose track of those funds, so we need to keep it in its own fund.
Okay.
So we'll just, at some point, we need to discuss how to spend those funds, so.
So when we spend it, do we spend it out of that fund? Or do we have
Yes.
to reallocate, so we can't reallocate it to another fund, because that would kind of hide it?
Yeah, no, that's what they don't want. They don't
Okay.
want to put in the general fund or something else. That's what we tried to put in there, but then they were real specific in the requirements.
I think originally when we talked about applying for this and when we
Yeah.
received it, we talked about how it would go back into police and fire or used for training or in that line. Am I correct? Or is it changed?
That's where we were going to try to put it, yes, but
Yeah,
they
so-
do want it tracked in a separate fund.
So that kind of begs the question, I mean, all our funds are designated to go for a certain purpose or a certain department.
Yeah.
Are we going to figure out how we spend this money exclusively?
Right.
That's how it has to be.
Most communities, the police and the fire chiefs and the law director usually kind of get together and kind of determine what's eligible for spending and stuff like that. It's a real specific category
Yeah.
of stuff.
Up to this point, it is not a lot of money.
No,
What, 30,000, something like that?
Yeah.
not even.
Not even?
No, it's only a few $1,000s at this point, but we'll be getting more.
5 or 6.
Yeah.
5 or 6?
That's all it is so far.
Yeah, and the
Okay.
paperwork with it is unbelievable.
Yes.
It just keeps coming. I got 2 more letters today.
Great.
Okay. Well, with that being said, we know we have no other option, so it's a state requirement. So can I get a motion to waive 3 separate readings?
So move.
Second?
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Motion to adopt the emergency clause?
So move.
Second.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Motion to pass the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Okay. Second readings of ordinances, there are none. Third reading of ordinances. On ordinance number 2023-40, it's not complete right now. We still do not have a contract. It's not arrived, so can I get a motion so that I can move this back to committee?
Read it first.
Go ahead, if you want to, I don't think we really have to read it, but do you want to go ahead and read it, Chelsea? Did you want to read it?
If Rob would like it read?
We don't have to read it, but Mr. Moscom would like, or not Moscom,
Blame him.
It's your fault.
Rob would like it read, so Chelsea, if you could please read this third reading, and it will be going back to committee if I can get a motion to move it back to committee since we do not have a contract and it is not ready to go forward yet.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with CT Consultants Incorporated for a wastewater treatment plant assessment and declaring an emergency.
Do I have a motion to move it back?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Okay, so we move that back. Go ahead, Rob.
I just wanted to point out, section 2022.02, it reads, unless a request is made by a member of council to read the bylaw, ordinance, or resolution in part or in full, the title of each bylaw, ordinance, or resolution of council shall be read upon 3 separate and distinct days before, so it has to be read. Sorry.
Well, certainly when you go to pass it, you're going to read it again. All right? I know every-
Tomato, tomato, we got it done, so, all right, it's read, and it's back to committee for now. Okay, old business, any old business? Anyone like to talk about any old business from the mayor? Okay, new business, any new business? Everyone's quiet, okay. I don't really have any remarks tonight. Andrew's not here, and I guess I'll just remain quiet. I don't think, there's not much to say tonight. I'll probably make up for it at our next meeting. Council remarks, Mr. Harper, do you have anything to say?
Nothing additional.
Rob?
No, nothing for tonight.
Paul?
Surprisingly, no.
Tim?
Tonight was a special occasion. In the last few years, we have never had the President Pro Tem preside over a city council meeting. And I want to thank Amy for capably handling this job tonight. It does bring up a question, since this has not happened in a number of years. I would request that we look at the idea of when the President Pro Tem is running the meeting, whether they are becoming the council president and not able to vote, or if they are just running the meeting and they retain their right to vote.
I'm not allowed to vote.
No, she's not.
Excuse me.
Sorry.
I'd like to find out the basis on which that is being done. If not, it must be in some basis somewhere that says you're no longer a council member just filling the seat for the pro tem meeting, or you're becoming the council president. Tonight, all 27 of the votes were unanimous, so it made no difference. But upon some case in the future, it may, and I'd like us to look at that.
Okay, thank you. Christine?
Just quickly, excited for citywide cleanup. I know everyone's been looking forward to that, so just to remind everybody that that's coming up. So we can clean out our garages and park, and I'm very excited. So that's all I got.
Cheryl?
Nothing at this time.
Okay. Mayor's remarks. Mr. Seaman, Mayor.
The city cleanup is coming quickly for wards 1 and 2. It's next weekend. The yard sale, citywide yard sale, is also starts this week. So.
It was last week. It was last week.
Oh, it was last week before this, okay.
Yeah. So it's over.
Rained out.
Yeah.
Got rained out. Okay, I didn't see any out. Okay. Well, that's good. Now all I have to do is worry about trash that we want to put out to the street. I think that Lucy did a very nice job with the Board of Health on her report. I am a voting member of the Board of Health, and I had numerous conversations with Mr. Diorio. They were at one point were looking to go out of the city. They could not find a place that suited them at that point in time. And I'm grateful that he hung in there, and they ended up with really a very nice building at a very reasonable price with that. So congratulations to them on their efforts. There is a monthly or a yearly meeting where they do business that has to be done, and of course they have to have a quorum. So he asked us to show up, those of us that are voting members, so that they can maintain the quorum and do the business of the health department. Our paving work is already underway. They were paving Pratt Street last week. And the rest of the program, our people are already working on getting the street ready, Main Street ready for various parts of work that have to be done prior to the actual paving itself. But there's a lot of this going on now, and I hope that fairly soon we get some steady weather. Not that they go out and work in it, whether it's good or bad, but I think work will go along a lot quicker once we get a real spring or early summer underway. I want to remind everybody that the Memorial Day Parade, it has been reinstituted this year. It was shut down during the COVID period, and I think the gentleman that put this together also passed away that helped get this done, but the American Legion has found someone else to spearhead this. So if you're interested in being in that, there are applications that you need to send in before too long. I have not been able to check out yet. I have not been able to get a phone number, but I think I can get one to see if the gentleman with the horse and the horses and covered wagon is still available. If he is, I'll probably ask him to be in the parade. I know that the American Legion in past years asked us to do that. With that, let's see. South Chestnut Street, we're hearing about some potential action on that. It's not moving as fast as we would like. We really need to get that cleaned up. There's new people moving into the old Italian American Club with the business, and that's not much to look at across the way. And they are presently putting pressure on the two gentlemen that were involved with taking the building down, that they have a responsibility to come in, and the EPA is working with this also. We also asked them to look for money, because this has to be done one way or another. But keep in mind, we do not own that building, and we are not directly responsible for it, but it's in Ravenna. So at some point, we may have to. I don't know. We can't leave it the way it is with that. We talked about the opioid fund. We're having an awful lot of fatalities in Portage County from the drug use. It exceeds what we've had in past years up to this time. So this is something that we really need to take care of. And what's disappointing to me with the funds that are coming in, if they're going to look like that, and you're going to get them over 20 or 30 years, it's not a lot of money. You couldn't get one person through rehab with the money that we have available. But hopefully, they're going after a few other people. This may grow as time goes on. But we'll find some way to put it to good use. I think I'll stop there. Thank you.
Oh, Cliff?
Just a reminder for everybody to vote.
Yeah.
Tomorrow. Well, there's only, we don't have to
Oh,
vote
yeah,
for
it was-
the mayor. Your
Nobody.
name's not on there even.
Neither is anybody else's.
Okay, right,
The
it's a
school
special,
level.
right, because it's just a special, there's only one thing.
In the city,
Yes.
there's one thing. I don't know about the township, but in the city, there's
It's
only.
a,
It's,
school.
it's
The
super
school
easy.
levy.
For the
The
town, so we
school
only have
levy.
one thing, so we still need people to go vote.
Cliff, it took me longer to park my car than it did to vote.
I bet.
Yep.
Thanks, that's it.
Well, I've got a granddaughter that's doing this again. Are you doing it again too?
Yep.
too?
Yep. It's going to be a fun, action-filled day tomorrow. I'm excited.
She's gonna be
It's going to be paid.
almost a stove.
Yeah.
Working tomorrow, and they have to be there at 5:45. So we'll be getting up early at our house.
Okay, it is 7:04, and I am going to call this meeting over. And
Motion to adjourn.
Executive session.
yeah, I'm going to. I'm also going to let everyone know that our next council meeting is going to be Monday, June 5th at 6 PM. I have been asked by our law director to go into a quick executive session, so there is nothing else after this we will be discussing. So if I can get a motion to go into an executive session to discuss.
Legal matters that are pending between the city of Ravenna and Mr. Staple, and also the Ravenna Township.
And Mr. Fall, before you leave, if you'd like to give us your, give me your phone number up here? Okay.
Make a motion that we go into executive session for the purpose of reviewing impending legal action.
I'll second. Whoever.
Mr. Kelby?
Yes.
Mr. Moskowitz?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Carey?